One to our, there you go, recording. Should have waited for that. I want to welcome everyone to our third demo lunch, the Legal Innovation Zone's third demo lunch. We did two of them before the summer and restarted it right now, and I see some familiar faces, so thank you very much for joining us. We started these in the spring last year, really as a chance to show off some great legal tech companies, both here in Canada, across Canada, and also around the world. We've had companies present from the UK, from the States, and I think we had one from Australia as well. And today we have three more fantastic companies, two of them from Toronto, one of them from Montreal. For those of you that don't know the Legal Innovation Zone, we are about 6.5 years old. We started out of Ryerson University, and we are an incubator for legal tech startups. We were the first incubator solely focused on legal tech around the world. We generally host about 10 to 15 companies in our space at once, all focused on building better legal solutions for the consumers of law. When we talk about consumers, we mean both individuals and corporations. Some of our companies are using fantastic, high-tech, true AI or blockchain, and some of them use simple technology to make a massive difference. Such as instead of putting notices in a newspaper, you can just build a website and put them up there and make a massive change. So lots of change happening in the law, and I assume that's why everyone is here today. So yeah, it is a great pleasure to have these three companies. And so the way it's going to work today is each company will take about 7 minutes to talk about their company. If we have time, we'll take maybe one question publicly, and then after the three companies present their companies, you will be able to go into breakout rooms and have deeper conversations with each of the founders. So the breakout rooms will be open right after the last company speaks, and at that time you should be able to self-select which room you want to go into. If you're having a problem, just drop me a note and I will throw you in a specific room. And you also can bounce in and out of different rooms. Those rooms will be open for about 20 minutes, depending on how much interest there is there. So again, thanks for joining. And I am going to start by welcoming Ari, who is joining us from Montreal and is the co-founder of Estateably, which is a web-based platform that empowers professionals with technology that digitizes their practice while ensuring regulatory compliance. So welcome, and the floor is all yours.
Great, thank you so much, Hirsch. As Hirsch mentioned, my name is Ari Brody. I'm the co-founder of Estateably. And Estateably is really just a modern cloud-based platform that helps estate practitioners streamline their estate administration workflows and processes. Since launching the company in January of 2021, we now have over 275 law firms across the country that are using our platform to help streamline their estate administration practices. And we're pleased to say that as of August, we were nominated for Estate Software of the Year in Canadian Lawyer Magazine's annual Reader's Choice Survey Awards. So we're super happy about that. We're happy to be here. And thank you, Hirsch, and the rest of the Liz team for enabling us to and giving us the opportunity to demo our platform today. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see the platform here. Yeah, all good. Perfect. So as you can see in the dashboard here, Estateably is a central place to place all the information about the estate, important stakeholders, whether they be executors or beneficiaries, assets and liabilities of the estate. You can track tasks related to the administration of an estate and monitor deadlines as they arise, and also generate important documents throughout the estate administration process, while also keeping track of all the estate-related activities here in this immutable audit log. One of the key, challenges for any law firm that has estate administration practices is the ability to standardize workflows for their staff, but at the same time, maintaining flexibility that's required to kind of reflect the fact that every estate is really unique. So we have here a list of all the tasks that one would have to perform throughout the administration of an estate per jurisdiction. So here's an Ontario workflow. We have workflows available for the rest of the Canadian provinces as well. But we also have the ability to create that flexibility to add tasks, remove tasks, change sequences of tasks as they may arise, and that typically happens when you have kind of unique circumstances with regards to an estate. For instance, if there was a doctor that had passed away, it's important to be able to do things related to closing malpractice insurance, contacting the order of doctors to make sure that their license is terminated, and things like that. So you have a kind of standard checklist functionality, which allows you to kind of mark the progress of each task. But moreover, one of the central features of Estateably is the ability to be able to collaborate with other either external individuals or professionals. So we'll take a look at this task here, which is searching for the will. I can have my law clerk assigned to that task. I can set a due date for them to complete the task. And I can also add, specific to-do items. Oops, you guys' heads are in the way here of my screen. Let me minimize that. So I can add, search in Canada Will Registry, add that to do. And when the clerk comes and completes the task and gets the certificate, they can add an attachment. So everything all the information and documents are really centralized. Another great feature of Estateably on the collaboration side of things is being able to work with external parties. So the executive themselves, forwarding the mail is not a task that typically lawyers will do, but what they can do with Estateably is they can assign this specific task to the executor. Again, they can set deadlines, and that way they can monitor the progress of the estate's progress. And then, of course, in every section of Estateably, we're able to create these reports with a few clicks of a button that will generate, in this case, an estate activity log that really identifies all the different tasks that are required throughout the administration. If a task is complete, who completed the task, when they did that, and who did that. So typically, when lawyers are tasked to work on estate files, they'll typically be asked by their clients to help with the probate process. So here we allow them to enter information about the file, about the filer's details, so the lawyer's details, the type of application that is being sought by the court, information about the deceased, about the wills, about any codicils. So they can enter that information only once in the system, and then we're going to take all this information and we're going to pre-populate the various court forms that are required throughout the probate process. We can enter information about any of the beneficiaries. So, you'll have, important information that's required in the court documents, but also including information about whether the beneficiary was a minor or mentally incapable. And if so, we'll have information about their personal representatives so that when we generate letters to them, it'll go to the correct individuals. We also allow them to enter information about any co-executors and also create this address book for any other stakeholders that may come into play throughout the estate administration, whether they're accountants, wealth advisors, insurance agents, etc. Also key to the estate administration process or the probate process is to create an inventory of the deceased at the date of death. We have the ability for clerks or the lawyers to add assets and liabilities. I'll give you a sense of what those look like. So every single asset will have basic information about them, date of death values, ownership types and percentages, whether the item passes through the estate or outside of the estate, whether it's a bequest and given to a specific beneficiary, that can all be tracked here. And then based off the asset class in question, we'll include information that is required on the estate information return so that when it's time to generate that 6 months after you receive the certificate of appointment, you're able to generate that with just a click of a button. Now, one of the interesting kind of automation features that we make available to individuals using our platform is the ability to automate a lot of how holdings are input into the system. So if typically someone will get a statement at the month end of the time where the piece where the individual died. They need to go and take a look at each marketable security holding. They have to go and track the price at the date of death. They have to convert it if it was held in another currency. So we've consolidated all that into an easy ticker search here. So if I search for Johnson & Johnson, what we'll be able to do is because we know the date of death, we'll be able to pull the price at the date of death, convert it at the exchange rate at the date of death, so that all that needs to be done is just to enter the quantity of shares that were owned, and we do all the calculations for that. So once you have all these kind of inputs in the intake, the contacts, and the inventory, you can move into the forms and letters section, where we'll be able to then generate some whatever forms are required for the application process. So generating that is super easy. We've inputted all the information, so all we need to do is check off some basic things, look through that everything's done, and click generate. And this should generate into a Word document that I can then download, access from here, and all the information that we have about the file then gets pre-populated into the court forms with signing pages for each executor, as well as a back sheet. So this can serve to save a tremendous amount of time during the entire process. From an estate accounting perspective, we allow people to add all their different transactions throughout the estate administration. So people can add transactions manually when they get their statements at the end of the month. But we've also created functionality whereby people can then import transactions either through a CSV file or through a uploading the PDF statement at the end of the month. We're going to read all the transactions, extract them, and enter them onto the tables, and then be able to generate the either an informal accounting report to be shared by the beneficiaries. And in cases where estates can be a little bit more contentious, we do offer a full court-approved passing of accounts report. We've heard that this process can take about 15 hours for each month. That's for each year that the estate is outstanding. And so, overall, this can save practitioners a tremendous amount of time throughout the estate administration process. So that's essentially what I wanted to show today, and happy to answer any questions.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Ari. That is fantastic. I don't see any questions in the chat. So if anyone has questions, please send them to me. But we'll move on to the next speaker, and obviously Ari will be available in the breakout room right after the next two speakers. So thanks for that, Ari. Next up, we have Flavia from Legalboards. Legalboards, I think most people like to call it, but I certainly like to call it the Trello for law. It visualizes what matters, organizes, tracks, and manages all things that go into a successful legal practice management system. And so I'm here to welcome Flavia.
Thank you, Hirsch. I will share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Perfect.
Okay. So, hi everyone, my name is Flavia. I am partner and COO of Legalboards. I'm also a lawyer, and interesting facts, I was the first client of Legalboards in a different version of the product and the first angel investor. Well, my partners and co-founders are having been working with the legal tech industry for more than 10 years, helping lawyers to improve their workflows. Because of that, we have a turnkey product that help lawyers to increase their productivity with visual workflows and visual and automated workflows. We know that only 31% of lawyers' works are billable time. So on the other 69% of the time, at least 2 hours lawyers spent using softwares like these ones that are very good, but for data storage and to control information, but not for productivity. So how can we do better or be more productive? We can use better user experience. We can integrate with available systems. We can create automated workflows. We can create automated tasks, for example. We can make it intelligent. Thinking of these concepts, we created a different way for lawyers to deal with legal matters based on actual workflows and timelines, all automated and integrated. I'm going to show you, this is an example of a workflow we call Legalboards board. The first thing here, you have to know the steps, the phases of your workflow. In Legalboards, the columns are the phases of the workflow. On each phase, you will have the matters seated on that, and the goal of your team is to keeping the matters moving to the next phases. While they do that, Legalboards can auto create tasks, events, emails, can create bills. If you tap in the cards, you can see the details of the matters. You can also check specific details of the softwares that we are integrated with. For example, Clio, LawPay, Doc2Wise. I'm going to show you the real software here. This is an immigration workflow that we created. Here, if you click here, you can see all the automations that we have. We have automations to have all your new matters in this workflow. For example, I'm using a version integrated with Clio, but we have in our core version 2. You can create automated tasks. You can send emails. You can have your matters moving through the workflow automatically. You can create document templates using with Clio, archive cards, apply labels, create bills, create checklists. And for all automations, we have the same first step. You have to choose one of the triggers that we have here. We have 3 triggers. Card movement, for example, I know that I have the same tasks to be completed in each phase of my workflow. I want every time I have a matter that drags from my column here, lead management, and drops to my engagement ladder, I want to create an automatic task for this. I am the reporter for one of these assignees. You can choose more than one assignee and the system will choose the one who has less work. For example, to be done in 2 business days, and the title will be task 1. Using this automation, you can create, for example, a task chain, okay? We have another trigger that's time. Every time you have a matter, for example, in this column here, and you have this matter for more than 3 days, you want to create an automatic task. You can use recurring. You want to create an automatic task every week on Monday. And we have task update. I want to create an automatic task when task one is completed. So I can use this trigger here too, okay? And for all automations, you have the same first step here. If you click in one matter and open the matter, you can check the details, you can start a checklist, we have a timeline to share general information, time entry, activities, task, notes, payment information, and we have a feature that it's my favorite feature, to create customized external forms. You can create forms for whatever you want, and this form will appear here in Legalboards as a card in the workflow you want to. This can be very useful for client intake process, for example. But going back to my presentation here, only to finish, we have more than 400 beta users. I have some great testimonials here, but to summarize, the benefits of using Legalboards are gain visibility. You can visually know what's happening in your law firm, what's happening with your matters, what are your gaps, standardize workflows, reduce interruptions, and make it easier and faster for new team members onboarding. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hirsch and Legal Innovation Zone's team. And I'm available to answer questions. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Flavia. You started off saying you started as a user, then became a part owner, and it's like that old hair commercial, if anyone remembers that old hair. I'm not only an owner, I'm a user or something like that. So yes, there's no bigger endorsement than using it and then buying into it. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that. I think we are now going to move on to Meyer, who has changed location since he started with us 20 minutes ago because he had a blackout in his house. So good to have you back here, Meyer. Meyer is the founder of Vaultie. Vaultie is making it safer to sign documents digitally. They create a verifiable digital signature that prioritizes your safety. Pretty cutting edge stuff, and it is a great honor to have Meyer with us here today. So thank you, and the floor is all yours.
All right. Thanks for having me, Hirsch. It's funny, I was about to tell you about my biggest waking nightmare being digital signatures that I had 3 years ago. And then I had a blackout at my house 10 minutes before I was supposed to demo to 30 people. So I now have 2 nightmares. But I woke up a couple of years ago to a document that I was supposed to sign, or was being told I was supposed to sign. And I didn't know who was on the other side of that document. And we started digging in and we started trying to figure out what was happening, what was going on in the world of digital signatures. And what we started finding was that digital signatures are kind of like cars in that they're super convenient for people to use, but without a seatbelt, they can be really dangerous. So we started thinking about what kind of seatbelts would be needed in cars to do that. And back then, the idea would be what kind of features would you need in a digital signature to allow for notarizations, for wills. Today, those same technologies are going into things like vaccine passports and driver's licenses, which we play with as well. But we wanted to come up with as close to a fraud-proof digital signature as we could. So A, you know which clients you were dealing with on the other side, and B, whatever you were signing or notarizing couldn't be altered after the fact. In order to do that, we sort of came up with 3 major principles that needed to sort of be addressed in a digital signature. They needed to first have some sort of digital ID component. So I needed to know in real time that someone was on the other side. We did that by creating W3C verifiable credentials, which use face recognition. We needed to do peer-to-peer encryption. So even the document signature company couldn't read your documents, which a lot of them can. And we needed to create a blockchain link to that document. So even after the fact, your document couldn't be altered, which meant that if you notarized something, if you created a will, if you created a contract, any third party can have confidence that that was the actual document that was signed. One of the interesting things that we saw happening in law is you create this trust problem anytime you sign a document, because a third party needs to rely on that document and its validity. They're not necessarily in the room when you sign it. So how do we prove all of that? In order to prove that, I've got my screen open right now. This is a document that was sent to me, well, that I actually sent to Daniel, who's on my team earlier on today. And I'm going to sign it as if it was the first time I was ever signing a document with Vaultie. I'm going to click sign. It's going to ask me to input my password, which might have come from an account that I created earlier on. And it's going to ask me to start ID verification. When I do that, I'm going to have my choice of a driver's license, a passport, a PR card. I'm going to upload these from my computer. You could do this from the phone just as easily. I'm aware that I'm not supposed to show my driver's license in public. I've become very used to this. But I'm going to upload the front of my driver's license. It's going to take a second to process it. And then when that's done, I'm going to upload the back of my license. And what we're doing here is we're actually going to test that driver's license 14 different ways to prove it's in fact a real license. And that's compliant with the highest standards in Canada, which is FinTrack, which actually uses, which actually uses the, which actually uses software to prove that you are in fact there. So we're testing that license, we're proving it's real. It's then going to ask me to take a photo. Let's not do it with my phone. Let's do it on my screen so you can all see me. Oh, I went all the way back to the beginning. My bad. Sorry, I've moved to one screen as part of this blackout thing, so it's a little trickier than normal for me. But what I'm going to do then is I'm going to test that license, prove that it's in fact real. I'm going to take a selfie, prove that my face is the same that is my face on the driver's license. So now I know that I have a real driver's license. I have a real face that matches that driver's license, and I can be there. Let's allow Vaultie to use my camera. Hi, everybody. Also, a huge shout out to my mom for being there in the emergency that I needed while I'm here. So we're going to sit there, and it's actually going to take a minute or two to verify everything right now. We're actually testing that license. We're proving that it's real. And what we're really doing in the background is creating something called a digital identity. If you have a vaccine passport, not from Ontario, you have a digital identity right now. BC has one for access to government services as well. And what that is it's a user produced, but entirely issuer controlled identity. So nobody else can issue that except for you. It's locked with your biometric. So no one else can really access that. And we use that not just to create your signature, which we're going to do in a little bit once this is actually finally updated, but we also use that to create notary seals for Ontario right now, but very soon every province in Canada. We do that by checking your Law Society number against the Law Society database and confirming your notary status through that. Eventually, the hope is going to be to do this through official document services. While that's going, once I've actually signed a document, just because this is taking a little bit longer, what we're actually going to wind up with is this. So this was a document that was signed by Daniel and I earlier on today. Daniel's a member of my team. I notarized it. Not that I'm a real notary, that's why I have a fake Law Society number underneath. But if you actually all take out your phones right now, you're going to be able to scan this. And we're going to be able to prove the authenticity of this document. I know you guys didn't think this was going to be as interactive, but it is. So if I scan, let's say the bottom corner, I'm going to get an authenticity report of the document, which will open because I'm not on my mother's Wi-Fi. I'm still on mine. There we go. So what I'll get is the document. I'm going to get information on the signers. So that's the selfie that Daniel took at the moment that he signed it. There's all the blockchain proofs that he did sign it. So there's the hash right there. And I can view the original copy of the document as linked to blockchain. So I can prove that anything that I've got in front of me hasn't been changed. Where this becomes really in handy is now I can prove that no document has been defrauded. If I'm a notary, no matter where I am in the world, I have an access to the original copy of the notarized document, also proven. So this works down for governments. For wills, I have a copy of the original effectively once that becomes legal. And for signatures or documents anywhere else, I have everything else. I'm just going to check that my ID is now verified. It normally doesn't take longer than 2 minutes. And then I'm going to be able to sign it. So I'm going to go into sign that folio. Just to sign that quickly, I'm going to turn off my video again. And signing is very simple. It's just clicking the buttons, hitting next, taking that photo again. And that photo is being compared to the digital ID that we created before. So assuming that I pass that, I'm going to be allowed to sign this document. I now have a selfie that was taken at the moment of my signature. I have a blockchain link to the document proving that it couldn't have been changed, and everybody involved is there. We also allow people to collect their KYC information through Vaultie through this. That's my allotted time, so I think I've got to stop, but happy to take some questions.
Thanks, Meyer. I think my system feels like it's about to crash now, so hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Thank you very much, Meyer, for that presentation and for being quick on your feet or quick into the car for the recovery there. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We heard from 3 fantastic companies. And as I mentioned, I'm going to open up break rooms right now, and you can either self-select to jump into any of the rooms with the founders, And if you have any problems, just write me and we can throw you in there, but you should be able to select whichever rooms you want to go into. And if you want to leave another room and talk to a different founder, just come back here and jump back into a different room. So all the rooms are open right now, and feel free to jump in there.